Imagine sitting quietly and becoming aware of the fact that you are aware. This simple experience, the feeling of being conscious, is one of the most familiar things in existence, and at the same time, one of the most mysterious. Every thought, every sensation, every memory depends on consciousness, yet science still debates what consciousness actually is. To understand whether consciousness could be a fundamental part of the universe, we begin with what modern science can say with confidence. In neuroscience, consciousness is associated with activity in the brain. Billions of neurons communicate using electrical and chemical signals. Patterns of activity form perceptions, thoughts, emotions, and decisions. When these patterns stop, consciousness fades. This connection between brain activity and awareness is supported by decades of observation and experiment. Damage specific regions of the brain, and specific aspects of consciousness disappear. Alter brain chemistry, and experience changes. From this perspective, consciousness appears to be something the brain produces. But this explanation raises a deeper question. Why does physical activity in the brain feel like anything at all? Why does information processing come with an inner experience? A computer processes information. A rock contains information about its structure. Neither appears to have subjective experience. Somewhere between inert matter and a conscious brain, something changes. This gap is known as the hard problem of consciousness. Physics describes how matter behaves. Neuroscience describes how brains function. But neither fully explains why awareness exists in the first place. This is where some scientists begin to question whether consciousness is something that emerges only at high complexity or whether it is woven into the universe more deeply. In modern physics, information plays a central role. Every particle, every field, every interaction can be described in terms of information. The laws of physics themselves can be seen as rules governing how information changes. This leads to a striking possibility. If information is fundamental and consciousness is tied to information, then consciousness may not be something added on top of reality. It may be an intrinsic feature of how reality is organized. One of the most discussed frameworks built around this idea is integrated information theory. According to this theory, consciousness corresponds to the amount of integrated information in a system. Not just information, but information that is unified, irreducible, and internally connected. In this view, consciousness is not all or nothing. It exists on a spectrum. A simple system has very little consciousness. A complex system, like a human brain, has a great deal. Importantly, integrated information theory does not claim that everything is equally conscious. It claims that consciousness arises when information is organized in a specific way. This gives a clear answer. Consciousness is not magic. It is physical. It is measurable in principle, and it depends on structure. Another approach comes from a philosophical position known as panpsychism. Panpsychism proposes that consciousness is a fundamental property of matter, just like mass or charge. In this view, elementary particles have extremely simple forms of experience, not thoughts or feelings, but minimal internal states. Complex consciousness arises when these basic units combine in highly organized ways. This idea sounds strange at first, but it solves a specific problem. It explains how consciousness can exist without appearing suddenly from nothing. Instead of emerging mysteriously at a certain level of complexity, it is present in basic form everywhere. The brain does not create consciousness from scratch. It organizes it. Critics of panpsychism argue that it assigns experience too freely. Supporters argue that it is more coherent than assuming consciousness appears from non-conscious matter with no explanation. Importantly, panpsychism does not suggest that rocks think or atoms reason. It suggests that the building blocks of reality have internal states that, when combined, produce awareness. Physics itself offers hints that reality may be less mechanical than once thought. In quantum mechanics, observation plays a role. Measurement affects outcomes. Information and reality are linked in ways that challenge classical intuition. While consciousness is not required to collapse wave functions in modern interpretations, the deep connection between information and physical states remains. Some physicists suggest that space-time itself may emerge from quantum information. In these models, geometry arises from entanglement. Space is not fundamental. Information is. If this is true, then consciousness, as a special form of information processing, may be closer to the foundation of reality than previously believed. This does not mean the universe is thinking. It means the universe may be structured in a way that allows experience to arise naturally wherever information is sufficiently integrated. From this perspective, consciousness is neither accidental nor universal in the everyday sense. It is conditional. It appears when the universe organizes itself in particular ways. Human consciousness is one such organization. As we move deeper into this topic, it becomes clear that the question is not whether consciousness exists, but what kind of thing it is. Is it an emergent phenomenon, like temperature? Or is it a fundamental aspect of reality, like space and time? Some theories suggest the answer may be both. Consciousness may be fundamental in potential, but emergent in form. The universe contains the capacity for experience, and complex systems activate that capacity. This view aligns with current science while extending it carefully without abandoning evidence or logic. And it leads to a profound realization. Understanding consciousness may require understanding the universe itself. As we look more closely at neuroscience, the strongest evidence we have shows that consciousness depends on physical processes. When anesthesia is applied, neural communication becomes disrupted. Information no longer integrates across the brain. The result is not altered consciousness, but the absence of it. Awareness does not drift elsewhere. It simply stops. This observation is crucial. It tells us that whatever consciousness is, it depends on organized physical structure. It cannot exist independently of all matter. This rules out many mystical explanations, but it does not rule out consciousness being fundamental in a different sense. Gravity is fundamental, yet it requires mass to manifest. Electricity is fundamental, yet it requires charge. Consciousness may be similar. A basic feature of reality that only becomes visible when conditions allow it to express itself. Consider artificial intelligence. Modern AI systems process information at extraordinary speed. They recognize patterns, generate language, and learn from experience. Yet there is no evidence that they experience anything. They do not feel confused. They do not feel curiosity. They do not feel awareness. The difference appears to lie not in intelligence but in integration. AI systems process information in modular ways. Human brains process information in deeply interconnected loops. Signals feed back on themselves. Memory, emotion, perception, and decision-making are inseparable. This supports the idea that consciousness is tied not to computation alone, but to how information is unified. This distinction gives a clear answer to whether consciousness is rare or inevitable. It is neither guaranteed nor miraculous. It arises when systems reach a particular organizational threshold. The universe does not randomly generate minds. It allows them under specific conditions. When we examine evolution, consciousness appears gradually. Simple organisms respond to stimuli. More complex ones develop memory. Eventually, subjective experience emerges. There is no sharp boundary, only increasing richness. This gradual emergence aligns with both neuroscience and physics. It suggests continuity rather than mystery. Now consider time. Consciousness exists only in the present moment. Memory reconstructs the past. Anticipation imagines the future. But awareness itself happens now. This aligns with physics, where time is not a universal flow, but a dimension tied to entropy and causality. Some physicists propose that consciousness may be linked to the arrow of time. Experience unfolds as entropy increases. Memory formation requires irreversible processes. Consciousness may depend on the same physical asymmetry that gives time its direction. If this is true, consciousness is not separate from the universe's evolution. It is embedded within it. The universe becomes aware of itself locally, temporarily, and conditionally. This does not imply cosmic intention. It implies structure. The laws of physics allow complexity. Complexity allows integration. Integration allows experience. From this view, consciousness is neither accidental nor universal. It is a natural consequence of certain arrangements of matter and energy. One of the most compelling aspects of this perspective is that it removes the need for special exceptions. Humans are not outside the universe. Minds are not separate from matter. Consciousness is what matter does when it organizes itself deeply enough. This also explains why consciousness can vary, why sleep reduces awareness, why meditation alters it, why injury can fragment it. Consciousness is not a thing you have, it is a process that occurs. And processes depend on conditions. When those conditions fade, consciousness fades. This does not diminish its significance, it grounds it. Understanding consciousness becomes an engineering problem of nature, not a supernatural puzzle. Yet there is still something extraordinary about it. Because consciousness allows meaning, it allows curiosity, it allows the universe to ask questions about itself. In a very real sense, every conscious observer is a temporary lens through which the universe experiences being. Not because the universe intends this, but because its laws permit it. As research continues, scientists are developing ways to measure consciousness more precisely. Neural complexity metrics, information integration estimates, correlations between awareness and network dynamics. These are not philosophical guesses, they are testable frameworks, and they all point to the same conclusion. Consciousness is real, physical, and deeply connected to the structure of reality. Whether it is fundamental depends on how we define fundamental. If fundamental means irreducible, then consciousness likely depends on matter and energy. If fundamental means unavoidable under certain conditions, then consciousness is as fundamental as stars, chemistry, and life. The universe does not guarantee minds, but when it allows them, it does so lawfully. This understanding replaces mystery with awe, not because we know everything, but because we know enough to see the pattern. The universe is not conscious in the way humans are, but it is capable of consciousness. And in that capability lies one of its most remarkable properties. Now we can address the question that naturally follows. If consciousness emerges from organized matter, could the universe itself ever become conscious on a large scale? The answer, based on what we currently know, is no. Not because it is impossible in principle, but because the universe lacks the required structure. Consciousness depends on tight feedback loops, rapid information exchange, and high levels of integration. The universe, on its largest scales, is sparse. Galaxies are separated by vast distances. Information travels at the speed of light. There is no unified network capable of binding the cosmos into a single experiencing system. This is why the idea of a conscious universe remains poetic rather than scientific. Consciousness appears to be local. It arises in pockets where matter becomes dense, organized, and self-referential. Brains, possibly other biological systems, perhaps one day artificial systems, if they meet the right conditions, but not empty space, not galaxies drifting apart. This distinction matters because it clarifies a common misunderstanding. Saying consciousness is fundamental does not mean everything is conscious. It means the rules that allow consciousness are built into reality. Just as the rules that allow stars are fundamental, even though most of the universe is dark. This brings us back to panpsychism, often misunderstood as the idea that rocks think or atoms feel. That is not what serious versions of the theory claim. Instead, they propose that the most basic components of reality may have extremely simple internal states, not thoughts, not awareness, just primitive informational properties that, when combined and structured correctly, give rise to experience. In this view, a single particle has no mind, but trillions arranged in the right way can produce one. This is not mystical. It is an attempt to solve a specific problem, how subjective experience arises from objective matter. Traditional physics describes what things do. Consciousness describes what things feel like from the inside. The challenge is connecting these two descriptions without contradiction. Integrated information theory attempts this by proposing a measurable quantity, often called phi, that corresponds to the amount of consciousness in a system. Higher integration means richer experience. Lower integration means simpler or absent experience. Under this framework, consciousness is not binary. It comes in degrees. This aligns with observation. Human consciousness fluctuates. Animal consciousness varies. Infants experience the world differently than adults. Consciousness is not a switch. It is a spectrum. And spectra are common in physics. Temperature, energy, density, all vary continuously. Consciousness may simply be another gradient woven into reality. If this is true, then the mystery of consciousness becomes less about magic and more about thresholds. At what point does information processing become experience? At what level does integration become awareness? These are scientific questions, not philosophical dead ends. They can be tested, measured, refined, and slowly they are. Brain imaging shows that conscious states correlate with widespread synchronized activity across neural networks. Unconscious states show fragmented, localized activity. This supports the idea that unity is key. Consciousness is not located in a single spot. It is a pattern across the whole. This also explains why there is no center of awareness in the brain. Remove parts, and consciousness degrades. Remove enough, and it disappears. Not because the soul left, but because the pattern broke. Understanding this reframes some of our deepest questions. It suggests that personal identity is not a static object, but a dynamic process, a continuously updated model of self and world. This model feels stable because it refreshes constantly. When it stops refreshing, experience ends. From this perspective, consciousness is fragile but not mysterious, precious but not supernatural. It is something the universe can do briefly under the right conditions, and then it moves on. This understanding can feel unsettling, but it can also feel grounding. It places consciousness firmly within nature rather than outside it. You are not separate from the universe. You are one of its temporary configurations. A moment where matter reflects on itself. As science progresses, this view may continue to sharpen. We may learn to build conscious machines, or we may discover limits that prevent it. We may find signs of awareness elsewhere in the cosmos, or we may find that consciousness is rare. Either outcome would deepen our understanding, because the most important insight remains the same. Consciousness is not an illusion. It is not a mistake. It is not outside physics. It is a real phenomenon arising from the laws that govern everything else. And in studying it, the universe gains a clearer picture of itself. At this point, we can draw the clearest conclusions that modern science allows, without speculation and without mystery where none is needed. Consciousness is not separate from the universe. It is not injected from outside reality. It does not violate physical law. It emerges from it. Every confirmed observation points to the same foundation. When matter organizes itself into systems that can integrate information deeply, flexibly, and continuously, experience appears. Not symbolically, not metaphorically. Literally, this means consciousness is neither an accident nor a cosmic purpose. It is a possibility written into the structure of reality itself. The universe does not aim to create minds, but it permits them. And when conditions align, minds arise as naturally as stars or chemistry. This reframes humanity's place in the cosmos. Humans are not observers standing apart from the universe. We are the universe observing itself from one particular arrangement of atoms for one brief window of time. Our thoughts, emotions, and awareness are not separate layers added on top of physics. They are what physics feels like when complexity reaches a certain depth. This view resolves a long-standing divide between science and experience. It tells us that subjective awareness is not opposed to objective reality. It is part of it. The fact that consciousness feels private and internal does not mean it is detached. It simply means it is localized. Just as gravity acts everywhere but is strongest where mass is dense, consciousness acts where information is tightly bound. This also explains why consciousness matters. Because wherever it appears, the universe gains something it otherwise lacks: perspective. Without consciousness, the universe still exists, still evolves, still follows its laws. But with consciousness, there is experience, there is meaning, there is memory. Not cosmic meaning imposed from outside, but local meaning created within. And this meaning is real, even if it is temporary. Some people find this view unsettling because it removes the idea of permanence. Consciousness begins and ends. Minds form and dissolve. But impermanence does not make something trivial. Stars burn out. Galaxies collide, even atoms decay over time. Yet we do not consider them meaningless. Consciousness is no different. Its value comes not from eternity, but from existence itself. Understanding this can change how we relate to our own awareness. It encourages curiosity rather than fear. It reminds us that consciousness is something happening, not something owned. A process, not an object. This perspective also dissolves the question of whether consciousness is special or ordinary. It is both. Ordinary in that it follows physical law. Special in that it allows experience to exist at all. As research continues, scientists will refine these models. They will test them against data. Some theories will fail, others will survive. But the overall direction is clear. Consciousness is being pulled out of the realm of mystery and into the framework of science, where it belongs. Not reduced, explained. And as this understanding deepens, something remarkable happens. The universe becomes less alien. Reality feels less cold. Not because meaning is guaranteed, but because meaning is possible. Possible wherever awareness arises. And right now, awareness is here. Listening, understanding, reflecting. For this moment, the universe is conscious in this way, through this experience. And when this moment passes, the universe will continue unchanged. But the fact that it can ever feel like this at all is one of its most extraordinary properties.